15 ways narcissists use demonic influence to control you. Imagine standing in a room with the lights dimmed, unaware that shadows are inching closer, weaving around you with subtle precision. You feel a chill when you realize you're no longer alone, but the presence you sense isn't human. It's darker. It seeps into your mind, captures your emotions, draws you into a dangerous dance without you fully understanding why. That's the world narcissists usher you into, harmless at first, but slowly revealing a presence that feels almost demonic. It's a slow entrapment of the mind and spirit disguised as charisma, sedation, or even affection, a way of controlling you so deeply that breaking free feels like tearing a piece of your own soul away. But it's not mystical, it's psychological. In this video, we're going to explore 15 ways narcissists use what I call demonic influence to control you, not as a spiritual phenomenon, but as a metaphor for the deep shadow-based tactics they deploy to weaken your sense of self. Each of these methods is grounded in psychological behavior, supported by research, and explained in human terms to help you see the pattern and reclaim your light. We'll look at mirroring your soul while hiding the mirror, cloaking your reality with gaslight, trapping you in emotional ritual, what I call the emptiness spiral, and 12 more deeply revealing methods. Because once you see how each step works, not with magic but with manipulation, you can dismantle it, you can name it, you can rise above it. So hold your breath, because what they taught you to doubt is about to be affirmed. And the difference between entrapment and escape is clarity. Discussion. The detailed, psychological, the mirror of illusion. Narcissists begin by reflecting back your own light. They mimic your laughter, your values, even your dreams, creating a magnetic bond that feels destined until the reflection fades, revealing you were only loving a version of yourself through their eyes. Psychologically, this is called idealization. It creates emotional dependency. The narcissist's control begins when your sense of self becomes tied to their opinion of you. 2. Gaslighting. Cloaking reality. Next, they question your memory, your perception, your sanity. You begin to apologize for things you never said, wonder if your emotions are valid, or even doubt your own sense of what happened. This psychological distortion becomes their weapon of dominance. Research shows gaslighting undermines emotional trust in oneself and in others, leaving you vulnerable to their control. 3. The emptiness spiral. Within the cycle of abuse, narcissists go silent, withholding affection, attention, and you find yourself spiraling, hunting for validation in emptiness. This spiral is a ritual of emotional starvation, disconnection, followed by reattachment that never satisfies, designed to keep you hooked. Neuroscientifically, intermittent reinforcement creates addiction-like neurochemical responses. Your hope becomes a psychological prison. 4. Emotional vampirism. Narcissists feed on emotion. They provoke you to break down, storm out, or explain yourself, because even negative emotional energy tells them you're alive, you're invested, and you're reachable. This parasitic dynamic isn't mystical, it's behavioral, and when your emotions are raw, they feel powerful. Isolation by intensity. They introduce you to an intensity so private and so overwhelming that it becomes your world, and everyone else's becomes unrecognizable. They gradually push friends, family out of view, not with blatant demands but with subtle suggestions. They don't understand us, they're overstating things. This is traumatic bonding, creating a relationship so emotionally charged that your sense of community weakens and dependency grows. 6. Moral erosion. You begin bending to their expectations of loyalty and identity. Their rules, spoken or unspoken, shift your sense of right and wrong. You justify their behavior. You minimize their harm. You rationalize away your own discomfort. This internal shift is spiritual attrition. They don't steal your ethics. They dilute them through repetition and reevaluation until your moral compass spins. 7. Identity dissolution. With each compromise, each step toward pleasing them, your unique traits fade. You stop speaking for yourself, acting for yourself, living for yourself. They don't eliminate you. They experience a slow takeover until you feel like someone else. Psychologically, this is self-erasure, a condition where the self is sidelined to maintain the connection at enormous emotional cost. 8. Emotional debt bondage. They gift you affection, but always with strings you discover later. You feel indebted, you feel praised, you feel obligated, but every gift locks you deeper into the pattern. This is covert manipulation. What seems like kindness is an emotional trap with high costs. 9. Fear-based leitmotif. They gradually escalate tension, then soothe it, resume your sense of safety. Then repeat. Soon your nervous system begins anticipating their tyranny, ready for an emotional collapse that never fully arrives. You become emotionally stuck, neither free nor understood, but primed for their next signal. 10. Trauma bond avatar. Your mind begins to revere the chaos itself. You're addicted not to them alone, but to the pattern of drama and calm. Drama, calm. They've installed a loop in your psyche that triggers attachment on demand. This is behavioral brainwashing, wired into your reward system. 11. Spiritual mockery, using faith to manipulate. Narcissists, especially covert ones, often adopt religious or spiritual language as a disguise. They speak of forgiveness while never giving it. They demand humility while acting with pride. They preach accountability but flee from it themselves. This is not real spirituality. It's moral exploitation. It's the manipulation of your deepest values, using your own conscience as a leash. If you've been raised to value kindness, faith, or forgiveness, they weaponize those ideals until you feel guilty just for protecting yourself. To the outsider, they appear principled. But to you, behind closed doors, they're using your principles against you. This internal contradiction creates profound confusion, what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, because the person who once seemed godly is now using divine language to justify spiritual abuse. 12. False enlightenment persona. The narcissist may present themselves as someone who is above it all. They speak as though they're the most awakened, most evolved, most spiritually attuned person in the room. This is all part of the facade. In psychological terms, it's grandiose delusion, an inflated sense of self that convinces others they are healers, visionaries, or emotionally evolved beings, when in fact, they are emotionally stunted and deeply insecure. They mock your vulnerability as unawakened, your trauma as low vibration, your emotions as ego. This tactic isn't spiritual, it's psychological dismissal. It gives them permission to invalidate your very human needs under the guise of higher consciousness. 13. Inversion of empathy. Perhaps one of the most sinister tactics. They observe how empathy works, and then reverse it. They fake concern, mimic compassion, but only to extract something: your energy, your sympathy, your forgiveness. And when they are done extracting, the empathy disappears. This is emotional intelligence without conscience, what some psychologists identify in dark triad traits. It's empathy used as camouflage, not connection. They don't feel with you. They use your feelings against you. This inversion makes it hard to walk away. You remember their kind moments, their sweet words, and you second-guess the cruelty. But it's all part of the web, a strategic use of empathy as a leash, not a bridge. 14. The haunting projection. Narcissists frequently accuse you of the very things they're doing. They call you selfish when they are exploiting you. They label you toxic when they are emotionally destabilizing you. They say you're abandoning them while they are preparing to discard you. This projection isn't accidental. It's a form of deflective abuse, throwing their inner demons onto you so you'll carry the weight of their shame. And over time, if you hear it often enough, you begin to believe it. That's the cruel irony. Their voice becomes your inner voice, and the goal, to make sure your self-doubt is louder than their absence. 15. Possession of narrative. Finally, when all else fails, when they can't win, control, or manipulate, they go after the last thing they believe they own: your story. They twist your past, misrepresent your motives, rewrite your character to others. To regain control, they rewrite history. This is narrative gaslighting. It's not just about denying facts, it's about erasing your identity. And it leaves victims feeling like their truth has been stolen. But here's the powerful part. Your story is still yours. Even if they try to poison it, even if they try to spread lies, even if people believe them, because the truth, your lived experience, isn't theirs to hold, it's yours to heal, and that is what terrifies them most. Let's pause and reflect. All 15 of these tactics, though dark, manipulative, and deeply harmful, are not signs of mystical possession. They are symptoms of profound psychological dysfunction. Narcissists do not operate from a place of spiritual power. They operate from a place of inner emptiness, fear, and chaos. But to the victim, these tactics feel spiritual. Why? Because they are targeted at your soul. They're aimed at your energy, your mind, your will, your memory. They try to replace your voice with their voice. They strip away your boundaries and leave you hollow. And that's why we use the term demonic influence here. Not as religious dogma, but as a metaphor for the intensity of the psychological warfare being waged. If you've come this far, it means you've already seen through some part of the illusion. You've felt the confusion, the exhaustion, the emotional chaos that comes from being in a relationship where everything feels upside down. You've looked into the eyes of someone who once claimed to love you and seen not warmth, but cold strategy, not soul, but hunger. And now you're reclaiming your clarity. You see, every method we've walked through, the mirroring, the gaslighting, the emotional starvation, the hijacking of your faith, the twisting of your truth, was never evidence of your weakness. It was evidence of their dependence on you. Because narcissists don't create light. They feed off yours. They don't build intimacy. They counterfeit it. They don't lead with power. They manipulate through fear. And when they sense your awakening, when they realize you're no longer confused, no longer emotionally accessible, they panic. Why? Because they were never in control of you. They were in control of your perception. And when your perception clears, when the fog lifts, their power disappears. Let that sink in. Their entire strategy hinges on one thing: your inability to see clearly. And once you do, it's over. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to outsmart them. You don't need to explain yourself to those who chose to believe their lies. Your healing is your closure. Your peace is your resistance. Your no contact is your revolution. You are not weak for being deceived. You are not broken for having loved. And you are certainly not crazy for sensing that something deeper, something darker was at play in that relationship. Because narcissistic abuse is spiritual in nature. It targets your soul. It drains your faith. It blurs your identity. And the only way to fully reclaim yourself is to choose healing over revenge, clarity over chaos, and inner truth over external validation. So here's the truth you might have forgotten. You were never theirs to begin with. They may have tried to infiltrate your mind. They may have used every tactic in their arsenal to dominate your soul. But what's real, what's true, what's divine within you, that part is untouchable. No narcissist can break it. No demonic tactic can erase it. No lie can silence it forever. And now you know. You've named the darkness. You've stepped into the light. And with every step forward, you weaken their hold. Not because you fought them, but because you left them. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And in the end, that's the one thing a narcissist can never understand. That love is not control. That power is not fear. That healing is not a performance. It's quiet. It's sacred. And it belongs to you. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who might still be in the fog. Leave a comment below. Your words may be the exact encouragement someone else needs tonight. You don't need to match their energy. You don't need to get even. You don't need to carry the burden of their brokenness any longer. You are not their possession. You are not their story. You are your own light, your own voice, your own homecoming. And from this moment on, stay grounded, stay clear, stay free, because your soul was never theirs to own, and your healing is already happening.